Have you noticed the cost of insurance in Florida continues to rise, and for many, it has doubled in the last couple years. So we're going to discuss why this is the case, and my special guest today, who I'm going to introduce you to in a quick second, will even let us know at the end how much longer to expect this for. Tony Smith, how you doing today?
I'm good, Joey. How are you doing, brother?
I'm awesome. So just a quick background. Tony is the owner and founder of Chrinco Insurance Company.
Yep.
Chrinco about 5 years ago?
5 years ago.
Tony actually was instrumental. Was at Morgan. I got the pleasure of working with Tony at Morgan Financial for 5 years.
In the caboose.
In the caboose and in Rockledge.
In Rockledge.
And Tony was instrumental in our implementing in our process of the 10-day close.
That's it. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah, that was a big deal.
It was a big deal. It changed a lot of things, didn't it?
It did, and we still use it today. So we're still grateful for your help in that process. So Tony is here to talk about the state of insurance.
Yeah. Insurance market is easy, Joe.
You're right.
It's easy. No problems at all. I mean, everybody should get in the business. No, insurance is tough right now, man.
Right.
Insurance is, I'm sure you felt it, in auto insurance and home insurance, but the industry is experiencing really what is the hardest insurance market really ever. I have friends who have been agents for 40 years. I have family members who've been agents for 40 years, and they've never seen it in the state that it's in right now. It's really hard right now.
Well, I'll tell you, I recently had to insure a 16-year-old boy. And that was terrible. Okay.
That's on him. That's not.
It's on me, I guess. But our insurance doubled from that. Anyway, so we're here to talk about residential insurance specifically.
Right.
Okay. And so over the last couple of years, the insurance rates just keep rising.
Right.
So I'd really like to get from you, give us a little background on why, what is the current state? We'll start there. What is the current state of insurance?
Yeah. So, if we go back maybe 5 years ago, the insurance market was what we would call a soft market. It just means that insurance companies had a lot of cash and they were willing to insure almost anything. And that narrative has shifted quickly. I think it really started about maybe 4 or 5 years ago. There was a beginning, kind of like the harbinger, I guess, or the canary in the mine, was when we started seeing a lot of assignment of benefits of consumers' insurance policies to a contractor, and then litigation started, and things just started tightening up. And the Florida legislature didn't act quick enough, and we saw the market. I mean, goodness, it just really tightened to where insurance companies now, they don't want to insure anything. I mean, that's where we are.
So you mentioned assignment of benefits. So you mentioned contractors and things like that. I think you did.
Yep.
Talk about the assignment of benefits and how it plays into all of this that we're talking about right now.
Right. So the Florida law would allow for a homeowner to assign the benefits of their insurance policy to a third party.
And why would they do that?
So in theory, it was set up to allow that contractor who had experience working with an insurance company to just go ahead and take care of everything. And they were specialized, and they could work with the insurance companies to get the claim handled in a timely manner. And I think the spirit of the law was good. Mm-hmm. It was pure in its intent, but then, as with anything,
the lawyers got a hold of it.
Sorry,
lawyer friends.
No, sorry, my best friend who's an attorney. There's some bad actors out there who took advantage of the loopholes in the system. But the assignment of benefits was allowed in Florida law, and it would allow the insured, the homeowner, to transfer the rights of their policy to a contractor who would then take care of the claim, essentially.
So that's why the contractors were going door to door, knocking to see and saying, "Oh, I think I can get you a new roof."
Yeah, it all starts with a knock at the door, doesn't it? A storm comes through, and they go and they look at a neighbor's house, and they say that there's damage, and then they knock on the next door, and they're, "Hey, we were on your neighbor's roof, and we looked at your roof, and there's damage to your roof too, and we can see it. Let us take a look at it. Sign here." And they sign that assignment of benefits, and now that contractor owns essentially that policy and can control it. And whether there was damage or not, and this is where it really started, whether there was damage or not on the roof, they would file a claim. And the way that the laws were written at the time, because they had rights to that policy, they also had rights to the attorney provisions within that policy, which said that if that contractor sues that insurance company, that insurance company would end up having to pay the attorney's fees for that contractor. So it was a no risk situation for the contractors
Sure.
to go and just knock on doors, get as many assignment of benefits as possible.
So how has that made things the way they are?
Well, one of the things I think probably the most glaring statistic is that in the if you were to list out all of the claims for the entire United States, just list them and then sort them by state, which Florida would have about 8% of the nation's claims, which would be expected, right?
Right, right.
We have a lot of weather. We have lightning capital of the world, hurricanes, hailstorms, et cetera.
We have about 8% of the population too.
Yeah, there you go. So we have 8% of the claims nationwide, but we represent about 76% of the nation's lawsuits.
Wait, hold on. So Florida represents 8% of all claims, yet we have 75% of all lawsuits.
Less than 10% of the nation's claims, more than 3/4 of the nation's property damage lawsuits.
So all the people that say, "Oh, these laws are good for Florida," did they not know that stat?
That was really the seriously.
Or is it good for their pocketbooks? Whatever.
But that really is that's the start. I mean, that's the Office of Insurance Regulation Commissioner. He's the one who was putting out the statistic and saying, look, this is a problem. It
Right.
really is a problem.
And so because of the litigation, that's caused the insurance carriers to want to back away from Florida, or not being able to afford to insure here?
Yeah, I think it's probably that's one piece of it.
Okay.
There are a lot of the larger insurance companies definitely aren't going to step into the Florida market with that statistic there. They're we won't name drop any carriers, but they sit on the sidelines. They're like, we're not going into Florida.
That's a risk.
It's a huge risk. Yeah. Right. And we there were some other laws that we had, like we were a one-way attorney fee provision state when it came to property damage. So this contractor could take over the policy, and then the contractor could sue the insurance company. The attorney could take it on as a contingency. The attorney could get a contingency fee multiplier on their hourly rate, and if they lost, nothing.
So in layman's terms, you said multiplier. So if the attorney goes after the carrier and wins, they have a multiplier on their actual fees. In other words, the carrier has to pay out more than it actually cost them.
Yeah, I mean, there are many instances where you would see a $15,000 roof being paid out, and you'd have $30,000, $40,000 in attorney's fees attached to it.
Wow. So the only person that wins is the attorney?
Well, you could argue. I have friends who are attorneys too, so I don't want to go that far. But I think that we would say that the homeowner definitely won too.
Sure. They did. But who lost? Everyone else.
Everyone else, and we're paying for it today.
We're paying for it. So I'm paying for all my neighbors' new roofs and putting my own new roof. So just to review, the problem, the big part of the problem is the litigation piece, right?
I would say that's a part of the problem.
Well, what's other parts of the problem?
Other parts of the problem would be the cost of reinsurance.
Okay, and talked about what is reinsurance.
So reinsurance, when you have a claim on your house, you have a deductible, right?
Right.
And then the insurance kicks in. Well, insurance companies, in order to maintain their A rating, will have catastrophic reinsurance. If they pay out a certain amount in claims, then a reinsurance carrier will kick in and pay for the claims thereafter.
So they have insurance to protect them in case their insurance pays out too much and they don't have enough money.
Exactly. Right. That's it. Yeah. I mean, they pay out a lot in claims, and then the reinsurance company will kick in.
Okay. So how is that an issue? So are the reinsurance companies charging a lot more for the reinsurance now?
Yeah, I think another interesting point on it is that the reinsurance companies are offshore unregulated entities.
Okay.
And so when you're offshore and you're unregulated and you can charge whatever rate you want, it's going to trickle down to the consumer. And reinsurance companies over the long haul, they don't lose. They're not going to lose.
Well, they'd be out of business if they did.
They're going to make it up.
Right.
And so they pay out a bunch in claims. They're going to make it up, right?
That's like those big casinos in Vegas. They're not existing there because people win money overall. Right.
Yeah. You may win, but go back and play again. And
they'll get you back.
They'll get you back. They'll give you a free buffet meal too.
Sure. To come back.
Yeah.
So it's the litigation is one piece. The reinsurance is one piece. Is there another piece there I'm missing?
Yeah. Inflation is very, very, very real.
How does it apply here?
So let's look at it like an average claim 5 years ago. Average home insurance claim maybe in the $5,000 to $8,000. I'm making that number up. I don't have the data for it, but let's say it's $5,000 to $8,000. Now it's probably $15,000 to $18,000 because of labor shortages.
Material costs.
Material costs are up. I mean,
Right.
I'm seeing roofs get replaced. 5 years ago, it was $15,000 for a new roof.
Right.
For an average size home on a shingle roof. Now it's $28,000, $29,000, $30,000.
Well, it's like I just heard the cost of a pool. It used to be like 30 grand. Now it's
90.
like 960 to 90,000.
I know.
It just the cost
With
of
a
concrete.
9-month wait.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
The cost of concrete, the cost of labor, materials, gas to get to the job site. I mean, everything has gone up. Inflation has influenced every cost of everything.
Trickles down to the bottom line, and
Sure.
insurance companies are having to pay for that, and they have a limited amount of surplus, which is the money that they use to pay their insurance claims, and if they're anticipating claims being X and they end up being Y, then they have to tighten up and non-renew policies and not take on new business.
Right. So Tony, look, we know inflation, litigation, reinsurance are all issues. And we're currently experiencing 40%, 20% increases, double, all these things. When is that what's going to cause it to slow down, the increases, and what's going to help normalize or when can we expect our market to be normalized? And what is normal? Geez, I don't even know what
I think normal would
is.
be like if you bought a house with a 10-year-old roof and it were a 30-year-old house, you could find insurance from somewhere other than the state-run carrier. And, that would be a normal market. And right now you just can't. I was on a conference call with an underwriting group put on a conference call with the chief of risk for Lloyd's of London. You can think of Lloyd's of London to be like, they're kind of like the New York Stock Exchange for insurance. I mean, everything starts and stops there in the insurance world.
They're the biggest reinsurer too, right? Or no?
Well, yeah. And they also are global. And so they have their finger on the pulse of the global insurance market.
Right.
And that gentleman said, and he's really intelligent man. He said for Florida, it's going to get worse before it gets better.
Yeah, I don't like hearing that.
Yeah,
but I hear it a lot. But yeah, go ahead. What does that mean?
Well, we're not going to talk about particular carriers, but I will tell you one of the largest carriers nationwide.
A nationwide carrier, of course.
Yeah,
Source,
yeah.
Right?
One of the largest carriers nationwide has stopped offering. Well, they've tightened up so much that they're not taking personal lines insurance and almost across the entire United States. He said this in Q1, and here we are in Q2 going into Q3, and we're seeing the continuation of the tightening of the market. And these large carriers are just not taking new business, and now they're going to start non-renewing business. And it's going to be a bumpy road. And I think in a lot of respects, we're kind of bumping along the bottom right now.
Okay.
I think it's big,
promising.
I know. It's like we've kind of slid down the hill, and now we're bumping along the bottom. And there was some legislative changes that happened, and I think that's going to help stabilize the market.
Can you talk about briefly talk about the legislation changes for Florida?
Sure. Yeah, there were 2 special sessions last year for homeowners insurance. That dealt with the property insurance market, and they have done away with the assignment of benefits. That is no longer it's not an option anymore.
Oh, that's good.
The second thing is that the attorney fee provision within the policy can no longer go to a third party. I think the other piece is that we're no longer a one-way attorney fee state, and this just means that the homeowner doesn't have a right to attorney's fees just because they win the case or because of a settlement. The courts decide.
Okay, good. So in your opinion, should our rates going to get better in the long run, or are they going to level out, or what do you think? Is it going to come down, stay the same? What do you think?
In my opinion, I think that once the laws have been tested and they hold, that we're going to see new entrants into the Florida market with some of the national carriers, and that competition will help bring prices down. That's what I believe will happen. And looking out the windshield and trying to determine when that will happen, the overall assessment has been, from the smart people, not from me, has been 12 to 24 months before we start seeing any type of improvement in the Florida insurance market.
Well, so I kind of look at this like I think about oil, right? If the cost of oil is so low, it's like, who wants to go dig for oil, drill for oil? If the cost is so low, the reward is so small.
Yeah.
But are we getting to a point where it's like oil being $120 a barrel? It's like, well, shoot, now I'm going to spend some money to do some research and maybe go into that market.
Yeah.
Like with insurance, are the costs so high that some people are saying the risk reward might actually be there and it entice people in too?
It's a very good point. One of the things that's really interesting about the Florida market in the past has been the attraction to these high premiums. You see an insurance company, they're like, oh, $3,000 for a home insurance policy, and they're based out of Ohio. And
right, in Ohio we get $400 a year,
right.
$800 a year.
They're like, I'm going, and then a hurricane hits, and they're like, we're out. The caveat to the improvement would be if we have a clean hurricane season, and Hurricane Ian changed the narrative greatly.
Right.
That was one of the most costliest storms that the United States has ever seen. One of the most costliest storms that Florida has ever seen. And the feeling was we're going to make it through without a hurricane, and then boom.
Well, that was like late season too, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, it was. And
like October, November.
And it was a big one, man.
That was a bear.
It was a bear. Yeah, it was a bear. Insurance companies paid a lot of money, and they're still paying right now.
So what advice can you give to real estate agents or home buyers right now about insurance in general?
Yeah, probably 24 months ago, I got off of a conference call, and you were the first call I made.
I remember that call.
We're
all going to die of insurance.
I said, Joe, insurance is going to kill some deals.
You did say this. I remember this vividly.
And I said, make sure your people are getting insurance up front.
Right.
And that narrative still applies today. Insurance can kill a deal. I've had over the past 12 months, I've had a lot of people come to me and they're like, I'm closing on Friday, cash purchase, and I need an insurance policy, or I'm closing in a week and, I need insurance for the mortgage company. And they send the inspections over, and they need a new roof, and it's like
you're not closing.
You're not closing,
or
you're gonna pay for a new roof after closing, and you're gonna have to jump through a whole bunch of hoops to get this insurance policy.
Well, we're seeing we're a big fan here at telling the client, get insurance up front, like as soon as you can, because A, you want to know how much it's going to be, and B, it might not be insurable.
Well, I think another piece to that puzzle is that the price could be so high that it could bump the debt to income ratio.
Right, and we've seen that, and we've had to do things to maneuver.
Right.
But the sooner you can figure out, the more time you have to fix it.
That's it.
Yeah.
And insurance companies, by and large, will let you bind a policy, meaning get proof of coverage, up to 30 to 45 days out from today. And so I could issue a policy today with, a July 15th effective date, no problem. So why wait? Why wait until July 10th to get insurance and find out that the price is 3 times higher than what you anticipated?
Well, sure. You're coming down from Ohio or New York, and you pay $800 there, and all of a sudden it's $4,500 or $6,000.
Right.
But on that piece, if they bind their insurance 30 days out, are they protected from future price increases?
Yeah,
during that period.
That's a great point, because insurance companies will have rate filings with the state of Florida, and a lot of times those rate filings will take effect on a particular date. Generally, it'll be like the beginning of the month. So for example, there are carriers out there who may have a July 1st rate filing to increase rates. Well, if you lock in the price and they have some rate filing, you can avoid it. Now, granted, if you're choosing a future effective date, a lot of times the policy would capture that rate increase. But if you move the closing date up, you could end up avoiding that rate increase.
Cool. So again, your best advice is to shop insurance as fast as you can, as soon as you can. Call Tony at Chrinco Insurance. We'll put your information right down below.
Give me a shout.
Yeah. Tony, it's been a pleasure having you on the show today.
Thanks,
Any
Joey.
Final words? Parting thoughts?
Yeah, I do. I got one for you. Go Gators. Go Gators.
Oh, we forgot the top 3 questions for Tony.
Oh, what are they?
Okay. Well, not top 3. These are questions for you. I didn't prepare you for this.
Oh, okay. Here we go.
Okay. Number 1, what is your favorite book?
Favorite book? The Bible.
Bible. Okay.
There you go.
Good. That's a good one.
Yeah, dude.
Good. A lot of good things in there. All right. Good. What is your favorite movie?
Shawshank Redemption.
That's a great movie.
Dude, it's amazing, isn't it? It's one of the few movies that I could watch over and over. I think I've seen it probably 20 times.
That's cool.
It's a good
deal.
one. Yeah.
And finally, who's inspired you most?
Jesus, of course. I mean, in the Bible. But let's talk about who's inspired me. Joe, I have to tell you, You have actually inspired me quite a bit, man. I remember we used to sit across from each other in the caboose.
Oh yeah, good times.
Those were good times. And I've told you before, but I'll say it for everybody. You're one of the best relationship salespeople that I've ever met in my life.
Well, thank you, Tony.
David's always been a great inspiration to me as well, but we'll leave that for another show.
Well, I appreciate that, Tony. You're inspiration to a lot of people. You're a great family man.
Thanks, dude.
Love having you on here today.
Appreciate it, Joey. Thank you.
Thank you all for watching today. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, put them wherever you put them. Like, subscribe, and all those things. I'm going to put Tony's information down below if you need a great insurance company here in Florida. All of Florida?
All of Florida.
All of Florida, Brevard County especially. Give them a shout. Thank you all. We'll see you next time.
Thank you.